They are stunned and already devastated, but Paul Munchnick's family never expecting the young suspect would be living right next door, a teenager who talked to reporters yesterday after Munchnick's murder.
I don't know if he was trying to get out of the house, but I heard a lot of glass breaking. I don't know if it was because of the fire, but I heard a lot of glass breaking.
17-year-old George Stewart talking to Action News yesterday about the heinous crime that killed his grandfather's next-door neighbor, 91-year-old Paul Munchnick. But sources say the teen himself is actually their prime suspect, and they believe he is the one who was caught on surveillance cameras early yesterday morning buying gas that was later used to set the 91-year-old and his home on fire. Early this morning, the Detroit Police Special Response Team raided the house next door to Munchnick, where the teen was living with his grandparents, but young George was nowhere around. But when talking to reporters yesterday, the teen claimed to have helped Mr. Munchnick over the years. But his own grandfather tells me that is a lie, because 17-year-old George only moved in with them about 4 or 5 days ago. His grandfather expressing his grief over Paul Munchnick's murder and saying he and other relatives called Detroit police yesterday when they saw this surveillance video and thought it looked like young George, a young man who claimed to have helped the quiet elderly man next door.
We used to always help him, assist him, he used to bring in a lot of TVs. He used to bring in a whole bunch of junk that he needed help with bringing in his house. And every time we helped him, he always gave us some type of money.
And right there is the home that Mr. Munchnick lived in for decades. And to the right there is where the young suspect was living with his grandparents. He had just moved in just days ago. And coming up on Action News at 5 o'clock, you don't want to miss that. We actually talked to the young suspect's grandfather just about an hour ago, and we'll have what he has to say coming up on Action News at 5. For now, I'm Kimberly Craig in Detroit. Back to you.
Yeah, Kim, just a couple things real quick. Do we know anything about motive? What led to this? Was he robbing the house?
We don't know that at this point. We know the vehicle was taken. That has been recovered. Mr. Munchnick's minivan was taken, but that has been recovered. But police at this point, at least the officers that we are talking to, they are not able to at least say at this point. And they say, sources say the young suspect is not talking.
And how did they get him in custody? How did they track him down?
Well, and the grandfather will talk about that coming up at 5 o'clock. He actually, along with some other relatives, actually drove his grandson down to Detroit police this morning. They say that they wanted him to go and talk to investigators. They're hoping that he's not responsible, but they just don't know at this point.
Wow, incredible story. Kimberly Craig, we look forward to hearing more from you today at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Yep.
Heather.